Have you ever wanted to say something so sharp, so perfectly timed, that the other person just stops talking? No shouting, no insults, just pure, controlled intelligence. Imagine being right in the middle of a heated argument and, with a single sentence, making the other person lower their tone, pause, and have absolutely nothing left to say. Today, I'm going to share 5 responses so powerful that when you use them, they silence anyone. Not through intimidation, but through clarity and composure. It doesn't matter if you're talking to your manager, a difficult relative, or someone who always wants things their way. These phrases don't just protect your peace. They also put you in a place of quiet authority, without you ever losing control. And pay close attention, because number 3, if you use it right, can completely disarm even the most manipulative person. Stay until the end, because once you learn these and practice them, you'll start to notice it. The silence. We've all been there. You're trying to explain something fair, reasonable, even necessary, but the other person isn't really listening. And somehow, they seem to be winning. Not because they're right, but because they're louder, faster, or more aggressive. In today's world, we often confuse volume with strength and dominance with respect. But that's not respect, that's fear. And real power doesn't come from control over others. It comes from control over yourself, the ability to express yourself with calm certainty that forces others to actually listen. Response 1, I don't need to raise my voice to make my point. There are people who think that shouting gives them authority. They interrupt, talk over others, and expect you to do the same. But once you match their tone, you've already lost your balance. This phrase is your way out of that trap. I don't need to raise my voice to make my point. It's graceful, calm, and disarming. You step out of the noise while staying firmly in the conversation. Picture this. You're in a tense discussion, maybe at work, maybe at home, and the other person raises their tone, trying to dominate. You, instead of mirroring their energy, take a breath and respond calmly. I don't need to raise my voice to make my point. In that moment, everything changes. You show that your logic is louder than their shouting. The Stoic philosophers believe that true power comes from self-control, not reaction. Epictetus said, "No one is free who cannot command himself." And that's what you demonstrate when you use this line. Mastery of your emotions, and by extension, mastery of the situation. People notice serenity in a storm. Because when you can stay calm while others lose control, everyone knows who truly holds the strength. Response 2, the way you talk says more about you than it does about me. When someone uses sarcasm or mockery to belittle you, your first instinct is to defend yourself. But defense is what they want. It means they've set the tone. So instead, use this. The way you talk says more about you than it does about me. This phrase is like holding up a mirror. You don't attack back, you reflect their behavior. And that reflection is often enough to make them stop. They hear their own tone echoed back through your calmness. And that's far more uncomfortable than any insult. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." This phrase lives by that rule. It shows maturity, restraint, and quiet power. When you refuse to react the way they expect, you rewrite the entire script. They can't play their usual game anymore. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters." And this phrase is the living example of that wisdom. Because real strength isn't in how loudly you answer. It's in how clearly you respond. Response 3, we can talk when it can be done with respect. Some conversations are not really conversations. They're battles disguised as dialogue. One person interrupts, mocks, raises their voice, and expects you to join them in the chaos. But you don't have to. This phrase sets the rules of engagement. We can talk when it can be done with respect. You're not avoiding the discussion. You're defining the conditions for it to exist. It's mature. It's firm. It's final. Picture someone who keeps cutting you off, twisting your words, trying to overpower you. You stop, breathe, and say, "We can talk when it can be done with respect." That sentence resets everything. You shift the power dynamic from emotional reaction to rational control. Epictetus said, "You can't control what others do, only what you accept." And that's exactly what you're doing, setting a boundary about what you accept and what you don't. When you speak that calmly, the other person is forced to face their own behavior, and often they fall silent because respect isn't something you demand. It's something you require through presence. Response 4. I'd rather not continue this conversation. There are times when talking any further serves no purpose. The other person isn't listening. They're provoking, not communicating. That's when this phrase becomes your armor. I'd rather not continue this conversation. It's short, calm, and absolute. It doesn't ask permission. It simply ends what no longer deserves your time. Imagine someone pushing every button they can find, trying to get a reaction. Instead of giving them what they want, you calmly say, I'd rather not continue this conversation. That phrase has weight. It cuts the toxicity instantly. And in that silence, you take back full control. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, choose not to be harmed, and you won't be. Ending a draining argument is exactly that. Choosing not to be harmed. You're not surrendering. You're protecting your peace, which is far more valuable than being right. And everyone who watches you do that recognizes the power of your restraint. Response 5. That's your point of view and I respect it, but I see it differently. Not every argument is hostile. Sometimes it's with people you care about, friends, co-workers, family, who want you to think or act their way. They mean well, but they cross lines without realizing it. This phrase keeps both sides intact. That's your point of view and I respect it, but I see it differently. It's respectful but firm. It doesn't attack, yet it leaves no doubt where you stand. Imagine someone close to you insisting on their way, their belief, their decision, their advice. You don't argue point by point. You simply say, that's your point of view and I respect it, but I see it differently. They can't really fight it because you're not dismissing them. You're acknowledging their right to think while affirming your own independence. Seneca wrote, to be a slave to another's opinion is the worst bondage. And this phrase frees you from that prison. It's a declaration that you think for yourself, and you don't need validation to do so. When people see they can't pressure you, their respect for you increases, often without them realizing it. Now you have 5 phrases that do more than defend you. They strengthen you. 5 tools that, when spoken with calm confidence, bring silence not through fear, but through presence. Because respect isn't forced. It's earned by character. Let's repeat them once more. I don't need to raise my voice to make my point. The way you talk says more about you than it does about me. That we can talk when it can be done with respect. I'd rather not continue this conversation. That's your point of view and I respect it, but I see it differently. Use these lines not to dominate, but to lead, not to win arguments, but to maintain peace and power. When you practice them consistently, people will begin to speak to you differently. They'll think twice before trying to provoke or manipulate you, because you'll have something few people do. Quiet strength, a calm voice that carries authority. Here at the Stoic Path, we explore the art of clear thinking, peaceful communication, and emotional mastery. Lessons from timeless philosophy, adapted for modern life. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and tell me in the comments. Backhand index pointing right which of these phrases are you going to try first? I'd love to know.